What's up, everybody? Louie back here again. We had a pretty crazy weekend of fights last weekend. I did all right. I went 5-2. I only got wrong Chris Moutinho, but I really knew he wasn't gonna win. But shot like that, you gotta take it, because guess what, man? That dude got his ass beat, but he fought a lot better than a plus 600 underdog, so good for him. And then I got Stephen Thompson, Gilbert Burns. You know, Tom's gonna get done. Burns got the takedown. Didn't see that one coming. You know, good job for Burns. Close competitive fight. And then, you know, I got Poirier right, and you know, I got all the rest of the big ones right. And then Carlos Conte, that was a good fight. He looked good, but just wasn't enough to get it done. But you know, it was I thought the card was awesome. All the fights delivered. The women's fight, you know, I thought it was gonna be boring. It wasn't. A lot of action, brutal knockout, and then Tai Tuivasa, you know, he became a superstar over the weekend, I believe, so good for him. We got an exciting offering, obviously not as exciting, but we got Islam Makhachev taking on Thiago Moises. You know, not the highest ranked matchup, but Islam Makhachev should be ranked a lot higher than what he is, and if he beats Moises, I think he'll finally announce himself and be like, okay, give me somebody in the top 10 at least now, maybe even top 7 to top 5. And you know, if Thiago Moises wins, he's been on a quiet win streak here. You know, if he wins, you know, he's gonna be the next talked about guy in that division. So it's a win-win. And you know, there's some potentials for some underdogs on this card. So I did my research. I'm ready to get my predictions, and let's get into it. And let's get all the fights tonight. Coming event in the prelims. At strawweight women's division, we got Amanda Lemos taking on Montserrat Ruiz. Amanda Lemos, her last fight, she took on Liviana Souza. Didn't really last too long, but I got some good information out of it. First round of that fight, she's able to press her to the fence, lands a jab from the outside, and lands a combination. She backs out, and then she lands an overhand right and drops her. She lands some nice ground and pound, but then she gets caught in a leg lock as Souza tries to sweep, and then she's able to get back to her feet. And then once she's back on her feet, she just drops her with the jab and then TKOs her. Lemos was in her face the whole time. She looked calm and collected. She looked calculated. She looked really good. She looked really crisp, and she just picked her shots, and I was very impressed. And then Montserrat Ruiz, her last fight, she took on Cheyenne Buys. First round of that fight, she's able to land a flurry. She just basically presses forward and throws a bunch of straight shots, and she gets the clinch, and then she's able to get her down with the head and arm throw. That's her go-to move. That's all she needed the last fight. And some people think that's the only move she has. We'll see. But yeah, it worked for her. Stayed on top for the whole first round. And then the second round, she does the same thing. Blitzes forward to get the clinch. And then she able to get that. And then she goes to the clinch and then gets the head and arm throw again. And then Buys is able to finally reverse it this time, because if she keeps the lock around the body, and if you keep scooting out, you can get out to the back, and she finally got out. And then and then Buys gets on top of her and hits her with ground and pound for the last 30 seconds of the round. But Ruiz definitely won that round. And then the third round, she gets hit with the 1-2 standing at range, and then she gets hit with jabs in a firefight exchange. And then she gets hit with the 1-2, but she's still able to punch her flurry and get the clinch, and then get the head and arm throw again. But Buys is able to roll through it this time, though, after a while. But then Ruiz is able to get full guard through the scramble, and Buys tries to calf slice her on her because she's behind in the scorecards and goes for a submission. But Ruiz is able to, you know, sink her hips in and get on top and gain control for the rest of the round. Take a look at the betting lines. Montserrat Ruiz is plus 410. Amanda Lemos is minus 575. And I really think Lemos is the better fighter here. And, you know, if Ruiz can't get that head and arm, she might be in trouble. But that line is just completely ridiculous. It's middling level women's fight. You know, I got to take a shot on this one. I got to go with Montserrat Ruiz. You know, maybe Lemos gets tired. Maybe, you know, she gets overzealous and Ruiz catches her with the submission on the ground or something. I don't know. Maybe Lemos rushes in and Ruiz gets her head and arm and beats her up for a whole round. So I don't like the pick, but my pick here is Montserrat Ruiz. In the main event of the prelims, you got Daniel Rodriguez taking on newcomer Preston Parsons, 170 pounds. Daniel Rodriguez, his last fight, he took on Nicholas Dalby. Close back and forth affair that I enjoyed. First round, Daniel's able to come forward. He lands a leg kick and a body kick. He's stuck forward, but he gets rocked with the right cross from Dalby. But then he comes forward. He pumps his jab, but he has trouble landing his jab. Has trouble finding his range in the first round. He was a little slow in the first round. But he stalks up against the fence, and he lands a couple 1-2s, and then lands a nice left hook on Dalby. Second round, he stays at range. He pumps his jab. He lands a jab, but then he gets hit with a few low kicks on the counter. And then the third round, he stuffs a double leg attempt by Dalby. He gets hit with the head kick and a 1-2 at range, however. But he pumps his jab as Dalby swings forward, as he moves forward and swings. And then he lands a check left hook. Really close fight. I could see how you give the fight to Dalby. I think Rodriguez won, or honestly, I thought that fight could have been a draw. But either way, a close competitive fight. And, I think after the first round, Rodriguez looked a lot better. Preston Parsons, he fought in a different organization. He took on Jeff Peterson in a first round. He gets hit with a straight left at range. However, he stalks forward, lands combinations and a head kick, and then he's able to get standing back control on the fence and lands some knees from there. Knees to the back of the thigh, then back of the knee. He lands able to land some hooks in a firefight. He lands a barrage up against the fence with elbows and punches, and then he's able to get the takedown and get back control. And then on the feet, he tees off against him on the fence. One thing I noted, he's able to pick his shots. He doesn't just go guns a-blazing. He knows he's not going to get the guy there right away, so he stands back and takes his time, tries to select his shot, which I thought was good, especially for a newcomer. Somebody might be too excited and just try to take somebody's head off, so I thought that was a good note. Then the second round, he lands a body shot to a double leg, and then he gets back control and then a rear naked choke attempt, but he slides off the top. And then back on the feet, he presses to the fence with combinations. He lands hooks and another double. He's able to get the trip takedown, but he gets taken down with a trip from Parsons, but he's able to throw up an armbar from full guard, and he's able to get the submission victory. So, he looked good. Parsons, he was, he looked a little slow in the first round, was getting hit, but then once he found his groove, he started pressing forward and was able to stick it to Peterson and really set the pace. Take a look at the betting line. Parsons is plus 250. Rodriguez is minus 320. Now, I don't like that line at all, and especially with this influx of newcomers coming in and making waves in the UFC. I mean, even though he lost, but Matina, newcomer, just overperformed. I don't like that, but Rodriguez is a grizzled veteran. His last fight was very close. He has a good jab. And I think Parsons is going to be overzealous. And I think he's going to get tired. And I believe this is on short notice. So he might just come out with guns a-blazing. Game plan, at least that's what I'm hoping for. And this price is way too high. But, Rodriguez is a decently consistent fighter. You could have said he won against Dalby. And if he would have won against Dalby, he would be on a decent win streak right now. Parsons might take somebody's head off, but I think Rodriguez is too smart for that. He's too established. Hate the price, but my pick here is Daniel Rodriguez. First fight in the main card, you got a fun banger, 145 men's featherweight. You got Gilbert Benitez taking on Billy Quarantillo. Benitez, his last fight, he took on Justin James. Most likely he probably got cut from the UFC, unfortunately. In the first round, he rips leg kicks and then lands a 4-punch combination as he's moving forward. He gets backed up with the jab and hooks of Justin James, though. But then he backs up and he still pumps his jab. He lands an uppercut as James crashes forward into him. He lands a 1-2 and then a knee to the body. And then he's able to get the knockout on Justin James. So, Justin James not the best of opponent, but, got knocked out pretty impressive. Then before that, he took on Omar Morales. In the first round, he tries to come forward, but he gets backed up with jabs and feints of Morales. He lands a hard counter left hook, and then he lands a 1-2 as Morales throws a kick. He lands a hook to the body and the head whenever Morales crashes into him. In the second round, he gets backed up with jabs, and he tries to counter, but he gets hit with a straight right and a body kick that he's standing at range. And then in the third round, he gets hit moving forward, and he gets hit with the counter hooks as he's rushing forward and for the flurry to land punches. He slips a punch and lands a hook to the body, though, and then he lands a body kick and then a hook to the body. He looked decent in Morales' fight. It was good back and forth, but, Morales got the better of him. And Billy Quarantillo, his last fight, he took on Gavin Tucker. I thought this was a really good fight. First round, he slides in and lands an overhand right as he's stalking forward. He gets taken down with the trip, however, in the clinch, but then he comes forward and he gets clinched to the fence throughout the fight, he's getting clinched up against the fence by Tucker. But then he gets hit with straight right at range as he's moving in. He gets hit with the head kick as he's moving forward. And in the second round, he gets clinched and hit with knees. He comes forward, throws hooks, but gets hit with jabs of Tucker. And he comes in, he gets taken down with a trip into half guard. And then he gets his back taken for a moment, and he reverses and he gets able to get back up to the feet. Then in the third round, Tucker is able to get underhooks and control Billy. You know, during the clinch, he uses underhooks and is pushing, pulling, and moving them. You know, it was really good on Tucker. And then he gets hit with hooks as he's stalking forward. He stalks forward a little recklessly, trying to land a punch, and you know, thinking he can outgas Tucker, like gas Tucker out, but it's not gonna work. And he gets taken down with a double leg, and then he gets taken down again, and he gets beat up from side control, and then he gets his back taken. So, you know, Quarantillo just rushes forward. He has really good cardio, and I think he thought he could push it on Tucker and tire Tucker out. It didn't really work out. Tucker's a good opponent, but, you know, still looked okay. And then Spike Carlisle has a really close fight, but that's the one I remember. But, you know, Quarantillo, he'll fight for $1. He's in the whole fight, no matter what. Take a look at the betting line. Quarantillo is plus 140. Benitez is minus 160. It's a tough one. It's a coin flip. You know, I think Benitez's striking is more crisp, but I think as the fight goes on, I think Quarantillo will start to take over, be able to clinch him up, hit him with some big shots. It's a coin flip. I'm going back and forth on this, but if you're going back and forth, you might as well go with the underdog. So my pick here is Billy Quarantillo, plus 140. On the main card, I think you got another banger here at men's middleweight, 185 pounds. Rodolfo Vieira taking on Dustin Stolfus. I think that's how you say it. Anyway, Rudolph Rivera, you know, he had that embarrassing loss last fight against Anthony Hernandez. In the first round, he presses Anthony to the fence, and he gets a double leg, and then he gets back control and then full guard. But Hernandez is able to get to his feet and land some combinations and starts walking him down. You can notice Vieira's gas tank diminish a lot. And then Vieira gets rocked with the straight right, and then he gets put in the standing guillotine by Hernandez. And then back in space, he takes a desperate double leg, but he gets stuffed, and he gets his back taken and eats some ground and pound from Hernandez. But however, he's able to get the double and get back control, but he slides off the top. Hernandez lands ground and pound from behind, and then he gets walked down and lit up, and he shoots another desperate double, but he gets submitted with the anaconda choke. You know, basically, Vieira, you know, just emptied his gas tank too early, tried to beat him up on the ground, tried to submit him, but, you know, Hernandez is decent on the ground. And then once he got to his feet, he was completely gassed. He's a really muscular guy. He had an adrenaline dump, and he was shooting the double legs, and Hernandez was able to stuff him. So let's hope, you know, hopefully he learned from that one. But I do believe he is a really good jiu-jitsu fighter on the ground. And then Dustin Stolfus took on Kaldakis' last fight. Kaldakis, a good fighter. In the first round, he gets clinched to the fence, but he's able to defend the trip attempts of Dawkins. He gets taken down with a lift eventually, and then he uses up kicks to keep Stolfus off his legs. He closes his guard. Doesn't let Dawkins just get in on him, which I like to see. And then he uses a leg lock to attempt to reverse. And then he's able to get the reversal for the last 10 seconds and do some ground and pound, but nothing serious. And then the second round, he gets pressed to the fence. He gets hit with the jab and a combination. He gets clinched to the fence and hit with combinations from Dawkins, but he's able to land a counter right. And then he attempts to standing guillotine, but nothing comes of it. And then the third round, he gets hit with the combination. In a firefight exchange, he gets clinched to the fence. Dawkins is able to get the underhook and land a barrage of punches with the underhook. And then he eats a ground and pound in full guard. But then Stolfus gets back to his feet, but he gets clinched and tripped, and then he eats punches. And then he shoots a desperate takedown attempt, but he gets put in a dark position, and Dawkins is able to get the victory. So the thing I noticed, Stolfus, he leaves his head exposed a lot. He'll just kind of shoot in there. And I think if you do that on Vieira, if Vieira's fresh, you know, he'll be able to snatch up a guillotine or an anaconda or a Darce choke. You know, I hated how he looked his last performance, but Hernandez is one of those guys that's a veteran. And if you count him out, like he was plus 300 or something, like that's not a good spot. But the line is Stolfus is plus 180 and Vieira is minus 220. It's a little high for Vieira, but, you know, I truly believe Vieira will be able to get the better of him on the ground. And what I saw out of Stolfus, you know, I think he'll get controlled pretty easily. I hate the price, but, you know, I'm going to pick Vieira. Maybe go for the submission prop, but I really don't want to do props here because you never know. But I think Vieira, if he can't get the submission, he'll be able to ride him out and just utilize top control for 2 out of 3 rounds. My pick here is Rodolfo Vieira. Fun feature fight at 155 pounds, men's lightweight. We got Jeremy Stephens taking on Mateusz Gamrot. Jeremy up a weight class from the usual 145. Last fight he took on Calvin Kattar at 145 pounds. In the first round, he stalks forward, lands a body kick, and then a 1-2, and then another 1-2 up against the fence. He lands a counter left hook off of Calvin's combination, and then he goes for the clinch, and then he's able to land a hard right hand on the exit on Calvin. But however, he gets hit with the counter left hook as he's moving forward. He lands hard low leg kicks though, but then he gets hit with the right hook, and then he gets hit with the hard 1-2, and he's backed up by Calvin. And then in the second round, he's able to stay at range, and he's able to pump his jab. But he gets hit with the jab and then a 1-2 by Calvin as he's moving forward. And then he gets hit with the left hook up against the fence, and then he gets dropped with the right elbow, and then TKO'd. Counter, Stephens is going to throw, and then Calvin brings that right elbow over the top and knocks him out. You know, Stephens looked really good in the first round, but Calvin came on in the second round. But, you know, Stephens looked pretty live in the first round. And then Mateusz Gamrot, his last fight, he took on Scott Holtzman. In the first round, he gets a low single takedown from space, but Scott's able to get right back up. And then he gets another low single from space, and then he gets into full guard and does a little bit of ground and pound, nothing too noteworthy. And then the second round, he gets the low single again. As Scott's moving forward, he gets able to get standing back control. And then back on the feet, he drops him with the 1-2 from range. And then he gets the knockout as Scott's moving forward towards him. He kind of out of nowhere just happens. Not too much action going on before that. But, you know, Mateusz, he moves really quick, really nimble. Yeah, pretty economical, doesn't waste a lot of movement. And he shoots that low single, which is very unconventional. You don't really see that too much in MMA. So it makes him an interesting opponent. Mateusz is minus 210 and Jeremy Stephens is plus 175. And I'm going to pick Mateusz Gamrot here. I don't like the price at all, but I don't like Stephens for a few reasons. One, you know, he's been knocked out his past couple fights at least, and then he's moving up a weight class. And, you know, Mateusz Gamrot has power. We saw that. And, you know, I think Stephens will probably win the first round. I think he'll start to teeter off as the fight goes on. And I think the wrestling of Mateusz is going to wear on him. I think Mateusz will be able to outlast him, maybe even get the finish. My pick here is Mateusz Gamrot. The main event tonight, we got an interesting fight here at women's bantamweight. We got a retirement fight and a comeback fight. Marion Renault, she's on a 4-fight losing streak. This is supposedly her retirement fight. And Misha Tate, this is her first fight in 5 years. Should be interesting. Marion Renault, her last fight, she took on Macy Chasson. In the first round, she gets hit with the 1-2 from range as she's moving in. However, she lands a 1-2-3 combination moving in. She lands a hard body kick, and then she hits a slide by and is able to get standing back control. Second round, she gets rocked with a left hook as she's rushing forward, but she gets pressed against the fence in the clinch, but she gets hurt with a body kick off the exit of the clinch. She gets walked down and hit with hooks, but she's able to get a double leg from space, but she gets reversed into full guard. Chasten's a decent scrambler on the ground, and then in the third round, she feints. She gets behind her back with the body lock, but Macy's able to get out. She gets a body lock trip into full guard, and then back on the feet, she lands hooks from a tie clinch, but she gets taken down with the trip, and Chasten basically rides her out. I thought Renault looked really good the first round, and then Chasten started to catch up in the second and third round, turned on a little bit. Misha Tate, her last fight in 2016, she took on Raquel Pennington. In the first round, she moves back, pumps a jab. She gets hit with a 1-2. She lands a body shots in the clinch, but then she gets put in a deep standing guillotine. You know, it wasn't super close. She wasn't super close to tapping, but definitely felt the pressure, and you know the crowd definitely noticed. And you know that can last in the mind of the judges. However, she gets out and she gets a high single, and she's able to get standing back control for the rest of the round. Then in the second round, she stalks forward. However, she gets hit with jabs, and she gets clinched on. She's able to get the clinch on the fence with the underhook. She uses a nice underhook to keep position, but she gets reversed, and then she eats punches to the face and the body in the clinch. And then in the third round, she pulls guard and attempts an armbar, and then she scrambles, transitions to a leg lock. But she gets clinched to the fence and eats punches, and then she gets taken down with the trip for the rest of the fight. You know, she had a decent showing, but Misha just, you know, if she can't get, you know, the clinch or get the control, you know, Pennington was able to reverse a lot, and Tate just looked a step behind him. I know this a long time ago, it doesn't really matter, but it's the last we've seen of her. Misha Tate minus 140, Marion Renault plus 120, and this is a crazy bet. Like if I wasn't covering this, I wouldn't even bet on it. I'm not going to bet on it because you just have no clue. But the only thing I could say is the line's pretty close, but Marion Renault is the underdog, and she's at least fought in the past 5 years, and Tate hasn't at all. We have no clue. Tate might be the better fighter, but we have no clue. And Marion Renault didn't look that bad her last fight. She just has to win 2 out of 3 rounds, and she can squeak them out. It doesn't matter. My pick here is Marion Renault. For the main event of the night, we got a banger here at 155 pounds. Men's lightweight, we got Islam Makhachev taking on Thiago Moises. Like I said, not the biggest fight for Islam, but if he wins, especially in dominant fashion, he's going to announce himself to 155, and he's going to have to get a high matchup next time. And if Moises wins, that's huge. He'll jump the queue and be ranked in the top 10, so it's just big. Islam Makhachev, his last fight, he took on Drew Dober. In the first round, he gets the high single to the half guard from space. As Dober moves forward, he transitions to side control, gets back control whenever Dober tries to explode out, and then he goes for an armbar attempt with like 15 seconds left just for the hell of it, which is good because it keeps him dangerous, keeps his opponent on his toes. In the second round, his high single attempt is stuffed, but he gets the inside trip to half guard in the clinch, and then he rains down some heavy elbows from guard. Nothing crazy, but you can definitely tell that he's wearing down Dober. Then in the third round, he gets the tie clinch to the inside trip, and then the body lock takedown into full guard. He transitions to half guard, and then he gets the arm triangle submission off Dober. Tries to go for that Kimura, and he wasn't even on the same side as the arm triangle. He was on the opposite side, and Islam just had so much freaking pressure with his shoulder that he made him tap out. It was very impressive. And Thiago Moises, his last fight, he took on Alex Hernandez. In the first round, he presses toward the fence, throws hooks, lands a calf kick as Alex moves in. And then he lands a straight left as Alex rushes forward. In the second round, he stays at range, counters Alex's combos. He lands counter hooks off of a naked kick. Alex just throws the leg kick with nothing in front of it, and he's able to counter, so that's good off him. Thiago Moises is a very defensively sound fighter. And then in the third round, he lunges and lands a lead left hook and then a right cross, and then he lands a head kick at range. And then he starts, toward the end of the fight, he starts pressing forward with leg kicks and hooks. Moises kind of sat back most of the fight, was able to counter, but he didn't have any wasted energy, and he looked really sharp. So Moises plus 500, Islam minus 720. The line's insane. That line's way too high, but I thought Drew Dober had a better chance of beating Islam than Thiago Moises does, and you saw what happened to him. Maybe it's closer fight than we think it's going to be. Maybe it goes to decision, but, I don't see how Islam doesn't win this fight. Thiago, he pulled that crazy leg lock, I believe a heel hook off of Michael Johnson, but I think Makhachev's hip to that. He's too smart for all of that. He's back. He's not rusty. He just fought. My pick here is Islam Makhachev. Guys, thank you. I know it's not as exciting as last weekend, but this main event is pretty big. It's in the 155-pound division, which is the hot division right now after that title fight. And if Islam gets an impressive enough victory, the people are really going to start talking about him, especially since Khabib is talking him up. That might spark some more rivalry with McGregor. You never know, but this is a big fight. If Moises wins, this is a huge opportunity for them. He'll be a new guy up at 155. So thank you guys for watching me. I appreciate it. I did all right last week, 5-2. The goal was 7-0. We'll get there eventually, but I appreciate it. Just please follow me on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, all that stuff. Leave some comments below. Let me know what you think of the fights. Let me know who you think's gonna win. I'm always down to have a conversation. Thanks, guys. Let's get this money. Let's go 7-0.